I cannot wait for this book to just explode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Andrew, and today I've got another book review for you. But before we get into that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help us grow. And guys, we are going to get right on into this book review, because we are talking Palmer Pickering's Heliotrope. And this is a fantasy standalone, for now, as I understand it. There is a potential for a sequel, but we're not here to talk about a sequel because it doesn't exist yet. But I think it needs and deserves one. Guys, I loved this book. If you are a fan of thick books with a lot of detail, but with a beautiful story woven throughout, you are in for an absolute delight. Now, without any further messing about, I'm going to go ahead and read the back of the book to let you know what this is kind of about. Telio is a retired soldier descended from mages who were cast out of power generations ago. After years of war and sorrow, he wants nothing more than to live a quiet life on his farm and work his stonemason's craft. His wife and daughter have been murdered during a war raid several years earlier, and his young son stolen by the enemy's side. He spent years unsuccessfully searching for his son and returned home broken-hearted. At the local castle, he comes upon a war orphan stolen by his side from the enemy and rescues him from abuse, adopting him as his foster son. Telio is working on a stone mosaic for the queen at the castle when he finds himself in the middle of a coup. This launches a journey to protect his new family, uncover the secrets of the ancient ways, and reclaim the magic of the mages. And guys, that is essentially the backstory to what Heliotrope is. And oh my goodness, I absolutely loved this story. The story elements and the character analysis that Palmer Pickering has pulled off within this story is absolutely phenomenal. What we deal with in Telio's kind of trauma about losing his family and being on his own is just fascinating. And essentially, like, hey, before I get really stuck in, I kind of want to show you this amazing map. And essentially, you can't really see it, but where we start out here is in the Verdant Valley, and then we kind of move to the mountains and the Sapphire Empire. The war that we are talking about takes place between Verdant Valley and the Sapphire Empire. So essentially, we kind of visit all three of these locations across the breadth of this book, and we really get to understand Telio's trauma and the fact that he is just so heartbroken. War broke this man, and he has done his absolute best to try and put himself back together. And when we first meet Telio, he is quite literally putting in mosaic stone pieces for the queen of the Verdant Valley. And it's fascinating because normally, like, if you were to tell me, oh yeah, the book starts with making a mosaic kind of tile pattern on the floor, and I'm like, that's kind of lame. But there's a class system at work here. Essentially, Telio is a peasant, but he is the best swordsman in the kingdom. But again, the class system is at work, and so when he retired as a soldier, he was not made the queen's master at arms. Instead, he was a stonemason because his status did not justify him taking on that role. People of higher status who were less skilled than him got this position. There's also some strife in the background by like a rich family that wants the throne, thus the coup. And we kind of deal with the slow kind of meeting between Telio and Jessam. Jessam is that war orphan that he kind of adopts as a foster son. And their relationship is fascinating because he is a war orphan and kind of like a prisoner of war almost. He's allowed free run, but he is beaten upon. He is treated like dirt. He is spat upon. But Telio kind of sees this mirror of like, well, I hope that the hill people would treat my son the way that I want this boy to be treated. I don't want my son to be abused like this boy is being abused. I'm going to take him in. Even the fact that he couldn't find his son, but he takes Jessam under his wing and his protection and starts training him to be a stonemason, despite the fact that Jessam's already kind of done blacksmithing. He was kind of used as a beat-up dummy for the Master at Arms. Basically, all the noble boys would just whack him with swords for the fun of it. and Jessam kind of takes him in to protect him. And then this coup happens, and they have to flee. And they flee with a member of the royal family, thus kind of building a new family unit. They kind of flee to Telio's cousin. There we go, cousin, Dysmoria. Or we'll just call her Mora, because she goes by both names throughout the book. And Mora is kind of this hedge witch. She can kind of tap into some of the forbidden magic powers. She's kind of off in hiding. You can't find her house unless you know how to get there. And they kind of hide out there until things start cooling down. Now, with this new government in place, they have to, of course, go on a journey. And throughout this journey, we get to really explore the family dynamics and healing from trauma. I mean, a member of the royal family is dealing with the death of their family. Their family has freshly been dead. And then, Telio is dealing with the fact that he's now got two young, impressionable people underneath his care who are the exact same ages as the kids he lost would have been. And so we really get to analyze that. And I think something that I like is we have a protagonist here in Heliotrope who is I think he's 45. He is a much older protagonist than your standard fantasy. Usually in fantasy, we're 20, 30, or a teenager. But somebody at 45 is the main protagonist here, and I absolutely love it. One of the cons I do have here is there is a lot of detail in this book. I would say probably that much of the book right there is just straight description of scenery, description of feelings, description of food, description of dress. Palmer Pickering paints an entire picture. There is a lot of detail here in Heliotrope, but it is so cool. It's a really cool and interesting kind of magic system because you've got two different types of magic systems at play here. You've got the mages, who kind of, they had all had their kind of different things, but they were warriors. And the Heliotropes are the kind of what they trained on in the sword. They would dance the sword around a Heliotrope, and you can kind of see it. It's what Telio here is standing on. This is a Heliotrope. And essentially, they could dance in the air, but they also had, subsets of powers. You had the Forgers, you had the Stone Masters, you had the Weavers. You had a whole bunch of stuff that, mages could kind of subclass in, and it was really cool. And then you had the Stonebound, I think is what they're called. Or, anyway, these are people who can control rock. And essentially, they can, use rock as illusion. They can move through rock. They can just do whatever they want with stone. And it's so awesome. But both of these kind of power systems, or these magic users, have been sent into exile and have gone underground into hiding. And Telio is descended from these people. It's just absolutely an amazing magic system. It's got great story progression, great character progression, great characterization. Telio is 100% a BAMF without ever grandstanding about being a BAMF. He's very understated. If something needs to be done, Telio doesn't brag about it. He doesn't, telegraph it. He's just going to go do it and move about his day. Even if that is just killing somebody of high status. He'll just get it done and then do what needs to be done. He doesn't brag about it. He doesn't really even acknowledge the fact that he's done it. He's too old for that nonsense. He's moved past it. And I just absolutely love that about this book. Alright, Editing Andrew here. I forgot to mention characterization, and it's an absolute must when talking about Heliotrope, because the characterization is on point. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. Telio feels like he's real with history and his own struggles. Dysmora struggles with loyalty. Jessam deals with the fact that he is struggling with his self-worth. It is such a great dive into these characters' psyches and their struggles and everything that they deal with, that to not mention it would be it would be a crime. The characterization in this book is next level. Now let's do a breakdown in terms of pacing. The pacing here is actually fairly slow. We only visit 3 locations, and the entire middle section is a slowdown in the story where we kind of stop and stay in one place. So pacing is probably going to be a 2 out of 5. This is a slow moving book. This is more of a character book, but then when the action happens, it starts happening. So, I mean, at times it's a 5 out of 5, and at other times it's a 2 out of 5. So it's just kind of got a good mix of both. Story, 5 out of 5. I absolutely love the story that we find within here and the analyzation of that broken family union and mending oneself. Love it. In terms of darkness, this at times gets kind of dark, but at other times, like I said, Telio doesn't acknowledge battle. Like, he's just so above everybody else that he's usually fighting. It's not a problem for him. We're going to go probably a 3 out of 5. In terms of inventiveness, a magic system I've never seen before, 5 out of 5. Overall, guys, I highly recommend you check this out. I loved this book. That said, guys, that's all I've really got for you. So until next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.